I've not been a fan of this man's. I don't like how he talks to us. I don't like how he talks to the nation. But that being a character on television is a lot different than being the president of the United States, because what you can't do, and what they did for years, which is why people got up and said, you can't talk to me like this anymore. You can't talk about me like this anymore.
Donald Trump thought he had the media under control. He thought old interviews could stay buried, that allies like Pete Hegseth would never turn. But then, on live national television, Whoopi Goldberg hit the play button, and everything unraveled. Forgotten tapes resurfaced, lies were exposed, and Trump, he completely lost it. What did Whoopi reveal that shattered his carefully built persona? Why is Pete, Trump's once loyal soldier, now eerily silent? This isn't just another media takedown. It's the moment the mask slipped. And what's behind it will shake even his biggest supporters. Watch closely, because this time, the truth didn't whisper, it roared.
What we heard at that rally should be enough to shake folks awake, because he's talking about you.
All of you. All of you.
He's talking about you. It's us. He's not going to, you know, say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
Trump had always leaned on selective memory, claiming old interviews, warm welcomes, and supposed admiration from celebrities as proof of his universal appeal. But this time, Whoopi wasn't having it. She pulled out the receipts, literal footage, showing that Trump's nostalgic tales about being loved by the View hosts were nothing more than self-serving fiction. One clip in particular showed Trump stiffly smiling during his 2011 appearance, not 2015 as he'd falsely claimed, long before his campaign even began. There was no confetti, no standing ovation, just cold politeness and awkward applause. That was all. Whoopi, visibly tired of Trump's distortions, looked straight at the camera and said it plainly. Check the tape, and America did. What they found was a crumbling ego dressed up as revisionist history.
Making fun of him is punching down now, because it's just too easy, you know? So this is not our focus. Our focus is making sure we get the right person in the right job to lead the country out of this malaise that we're all in. Everybody's pissed
and exhausted
all the time. People are just, they're walking down the street and you can see it, and you know people don't understand why they're feeling like this, because they're not, that's not them. In part, it's what we've been dealing, what they call it, trauma.
Yeah.
We've been in trauma
for years.
For years now, and I'm hoping that with this next election, we will have a breather and get back to the people's business.
In a stunning reversal, every smiling photo, every cordial exchange from the past that Trump had clung to began to dissolve. Whoopi wasn't attacking him with rage. She was dismantling him with facts. She reminded the audience that the politeness he mistook for friendship came from Barbara Walters' rule: treat all guests with respect. It wasn't admiration, it was civility. And when Trump pushed the racist birther conspiracy against Obama, Whoopi didn't flinch. She called it for what it was: blatant racial bias. On national television, she asked the question that hung in every room but was rarely voiced. Had any white president ever been asked to show their birth certificate? The silence that followed said it all. Trump's obsession with rewriting history had finally met its match.
He's also, can I just mention, I usually don't respond to him when he comes after me. It feels like punching down, but he keeps lying about me, and I do want to correct this. He keeps referring to, I wrote him secret love letters of some sort. I don't write love letters to dictators or aspiring dictators like Donald Trump did to Kim Jong-un. The only letter I ever wrote him was a public resignation letter that was directed toward the Trump administration, speaking about my time. Otherwise, CNN fact-checked, he lied about my title and any other things. He's clearly very focused on this show because we keep calling him out, and we're going to keep doing it.
He said in that clip, every president provides their birth certificate. No, they don't, but do you know what they do provide? They provide their taxes and their medical records. And that is something that he lost track of.
And you know, Barack Obama says about him all the time, he's just this crybaby with this complex of victimhood, right? Here he is, this billionaire, supposedly, this, there's that. All he does is bitch and moan and complain and whine and nag.
That's Dude, he's a very small man. He's a very small
Well, fortunately, I don't know how small he is, but I know he's not big enough to be president.
Yeah.
Well.
But Whoopi wasn't alone this time. As the segment grew more heated, Co-hosts like Alyssa Farah Griffin, Sunny Hostin from Shimin, and Anna Navarro joined in. One by one, they laid out Trump's falsehoods, his manipulation tactics, and his dangerous relationship with power. Alyssa, once part of Trump's own administration, debunked his claim that she had written him secret love letters. Her only letter? A public resignation calling out his unfitness for office? No hearts, no poems, just accountability. Then came the comparisons, Trump's idolization of Kim Jong-un. The irony wasn't lost. The panel wasn't. Just countering Trump's narrative. They were burning the foundation it was built on. And every second of that broadcast sent a clear message. The truth is not only alive, it's televised.
Now, I've hired Whoopi to work for me as a comedian before this stuff, and a long time ago. And I went. And, you know, I'm not particularly shy about what I hear. Her mouth was so foul. Every word out of her mouth was like the F word, this. I was with a group of people, like sort of nice people, and we had to leave. She was so filthy dirty, disgusting. Half the place left. I said I'd never hire her again, but she was so dirty. Every word was filthy dirty, and I left. And then I see her sitting about, oh, Whoopi, oh, what a loser she is.
What shocked viewers most wasn't just the unraveling of Trump's lies. It was the quiet exit of one of his fiercest former defenders, Pete Hegseth, who Trump once trusted enough to pluck from Fox News and place near the Pentagon's command structure, had gone silent. During a botched military parade fiasco, Trump reportedly berated Hegseth for only arranging 3 tanks. "I made you Secretary of Defense," Trump reportedly screamed. "And you give me this?" But what came next was even more damning. When asked by reporters about a weapons pause and whether Congress had been notified, Pete mumbled vague legalisms and shrugged off accountability. Suddenly, the man who once parroted Trump's every talking point was now dodging direct questions and leaking war decisions to his brother. Trump's spiral wasn't just televised, it was historic. When confronted with Whoopi's footage disproving his statements, his usual bluster turned frantic. He insisted he was always treated like royalty on the show, but reality had different plans. Barbara Walters, ever the professional, showed civility, not affection. And Whoopi made it clear. She smiled not out of admiration, but obligation. Trump had rewritten their relationship in his mind, turning neutral interviews into golden memories. But now, the truth was out. Even more stunning, as the hosts dismantled lie after lie, Trump's focus shifted. He began attacking the women, labeling them liars and ungrateful. But the damage was done. The American public had already seen the footage, every hug, every handshake, every fake claim exposed frame by frame without a single word of spin.
Now, you know we can never go too long in this segment without featuring the work of the ladies of The View. Each and every episode showcases just how broken the hosts are, including the alpha female of the pack, Whoopi, who could not even bring herself to say Trump's name without spitting. Gross.
I think it would be remiss of us to not say, Joe Biden knows how to do this.
Yes.
He knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. And, you know, you can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean...
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
Can I mention one thing?
They're so bitter, broken and miserable. Not sure why that makes me smile, but it does.
And then, like a director who lost control of his cast, Trump watched as Pete Hegseth, his trusted insider, vanished into ambiguity. Pete, once the face of Trump's military PR, was caught in a bizarre silence. When questioned about who authorized certain military actions, Pete's responses became evasive. "I would know if a decision was made," he muttered, clearly trying to dodge responsibility. Trump, who expected loyalty without question, saw Pete's hedging as betrayal. Behind closed doors, sources claimed he exploded, asking how a man he'd saved from scandal could turn spineless. Even worse, Pete had allegedly bypassed Trump on critical intel, texting his brother war updates while keeping the president in the dark. For Trump, this was more than mutiny. It was humiliation from within his own fortress.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
So, here's the actual appearance. Watch.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add president? of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump. We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
We love it.
So, Barbara was her usual polite self, as she was with every guest. But did I look warm and fuzzy? Was that a warm and fuzzy welcome from her? But because I respect Barbara, you know, she said be polite to guests no matter what.
Yes.
And for the most part, I got through. I did it like I do now. But here's where they really messed up. Watch.
They're talking about you as such a favorable light.
Honey, Joe, I think you missed this part. Take a look.
I want him to show his birth certificate. There's something on that birth certificate that he doesn't like.
Oh my God.
That's a terrible
That is
thing
just
to say.
Whoopi, I'm telling you.
He was 3 pounds instead
Donnie,
of
I
8.
love you. I'm
Donald,
telling
I love
you.
you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in ages.
The question is, why not show it, right? There's something on his birth certificate he doesn't want to show.
It's not because he's black.
Let him show. Has nothing to do with it.
Because I've
Has
never heard
nothing
any
to
white
do with it.
president asked to be shown the birth certificate.
Everybody does.
When you become a president of the United States of America, you know that he's
Let him
American.
show
I'm
his
sorry,
birth
that's
certificate.
As the episode of The View unfolded, the mood shifted from fact-checking to full-blown intervention. Joy Behar, normally known for punchlines, delivered a brutal takedown. "He's not big enough to be president," she said, and it landed like a hammer. The crowd didn't laugh. They nodded. Sonny Hostin joined in, highlighting Trump's inability to separate performance from leadership. "Being a character on television is different than running a country," she said. And Ana Navarro delivered the final blow. "He's just a crybaby with a victim complex. No yelling, no drama, just one truth after another, delivered calmly, methodically, with the kind of clarity that shreds through propaganda." For the first time in years, the Trump myth wasn't just questioned, it was picked apart by those who knew him best. Trump had always counted on chaos to drown out criticism, but this time, even that strategy failed. When Jimmy Kimmel later revealed Trump's tantrum over a birthday parade with only 3 tanks, the story sounded almost too absurd to be true, until it was confirmed by insiders. Trump, furious over the modest celebration, berated Hegseth for the optics. He wanted grandeur, he wanted dominance. What he got was a reality check and an awkward silence from his own defense team. Then came the revelation that during the Iran strikes, Congress wasn't notified until after the jets had landed. Pete Hegseth called it compliance, but everyone else called it what it was: deception. And once again, Trump's leadership style, built on impulse and spectacle, collapsed under the weight of actual governance.
As it turns out, I was filthy. I was filthy. And stand on that fact. I have always been filthy. And you knew that when you hired me. A headline, babe, at your casino, which I might have continued to play had you not run it into the ground.
Exactly.
By the end of the segment, even Trump's most dramatic declarations sounded hollow. "Other nations are kissing my ass," he bragged. But Whoopi wasn't impressed. "What plan?" she asked. "What are we doing?" Her voice cracked, not with anger, but genuine frustration. Because while Trump tweets in caps and scrambles for loyalty, people are dying. War zones burn, aid disappears, and the world keeps spinning. And amid the shouting, Whoopi delivered the only question that mattered. What does America stand for anymore? It wasn't rhetorical. It was a cry for clarity in a political storm where truth is optional and accountability is extinct. The stage lights dimmed, the segment ended, but one fact remained. Trump had finally met a platform he couldn't control, and this time it was his own undoing.
I have a personal legal note.
Yes.
Donald Trump, I want to thank you for personally telling so many lies and committing so many alleged crimes and providing us with material on a daily basis. You help us do our jobs, and I'm so appreciative. Because of people like you, a former prosecutor and legal expert can become a fixture on a show like this. And again, I'm so grateful. I admit I may not have spent as much time in a courtroom as you have.
That's a good one.
I was also recognized with a Special Achievement Award by the Department of Justice. You remember the Department of Justice, right? It's the agency that's been pursuing you for decades. And like Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, I've had a history of prosecuting sex offenders.
Uh-oh.
So thank you for keeping people like us in business. And as for dumb questions, you're always welcome to come here and answer some, if sitting so close to a prosecutor won't make you nervous. I'll even give you a free View mug, not to be confused, though, with a mugshot, because that's your area.
As Trump scrambled to regain narrative control, he delivered one of his most contradictory lines to date. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free, he declared, straight-faced. Yet just moments later, he proudly celebrated overturning Roe v. Wade, stripping millions of American women of reproductive freedom. The hypocrisy was stunning. It wasn't Whoopi who needed to yell. Trump's own words screamed louder than any critic. She simply played the footage, and America watched the contradiction unfold in real time. You can't say you'll protect women and then snatch away their autonomy. You can't claim to be their defender while cheering on a ruling that shattered decades of progress. For Whoopi and on millions of viewers, this wasn't just bad politics. It was a masterclass in gaslighting gone public. But the unraveling didn't stop at hypocrisy. What made this episode unforgettable was how even Trump's most loyal foot soldiers began falling away. Pete Hegseth, once seen as a battlefield bulldog for the Trump agenda, was now more ghost than general. When asked who gave the order for a major strike, he stalled. When questioned about informing Congress, he deflected. When pressed about Trump's tantrums, he froze. His silence spoke volumes. It wasn't just discomfort, it was distance. The man once tapped as a potential Secretary of Defense now looked more like an unwilling accessory to chaos than an architect of strategy. And Trump noticed. He didn't just lose an aide that night, he lost one of his final shields from institutional collapse. The fallout had begun.
The lying, his lying is monumental, as we all know. And even people who are Trump supporters, watch this. Just watch this. This is good.
I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person. But and frankly, basically, and I am a natural redhead who's 29 years old. Okay, I mean the jokes just come so easily.
And it wasn't just Pete; it was a pattern. The myth of loyalty that Trump wrapped himself in began tearing at the seams. The Views panel read him like a familiar script. Ana Navarro reminded viewers how Trump chased headlines and victimhood like a reality show plot. Joy Behar mocked his claim to be a truthful person, while he spewed easily disproved lies on national TV. Sunny Hostin obliterated the idea that Trump was ever presidential, reminding Americans that being loud doesn't mean being right. Their critiques didn't come from hate. They came from exhaustion. The years of misinformation, contradiction, and chaos had built to this. And now, Trump wasn't facing opposition from the other side. He was facing consequences from the people who once stood beside him.
Trump actually is one of the people who has a filthier mouth than Whoopi Goldberg. He says words every other word when he's not on television and trained himself to do otherwise, but also he called you a loser. And I would just note, you're an EGOT. He lost the last election and can't admit it. Calling you dumb, he does not have a law degree, you do.
That's true.
But listen, he's triggered by women.
His professor said he was the dumbest student he ever had.
Yeah. He's always been triggered by women when they call him out. It's why he has such a challenge with women in this election and why I think they're going to be a deciding factor in when he loses.
Yeah.
And there's a reason his campaign doesn't want him to keep doing these rallies. A, he can't fill them the way that he used to, but they also hurt him because the more people hear the crazy, the meanness, the name calling, they're just over it. It's exhausting. It's not what
They
we want
average
from the president.
82 minutes compared to 45 minutes in 2016. They're tracing like with numbers and statistics his decline.
Even in the final moments, Trump clung to illusions. He spoke of global leaders begging for deals, of nations kissing his ass, of being the protector of women. But as Whoopi Goldberg calmly replayed the tapes, one by one, every claim fell apart. And then came the whisper, quieter than cable news, softer than a headline, but far more dangerous. Pete Hegseth, once loyal to the last syllable, had started sending defense updates to his brother, bypassing Trump entirely. Loyalty had limits. And in that moment, Trump's power didn't just crack, it fractured. When even your own appointees choose silence or family over your leadership, the writing isn't just on the wall, it's flashing in neon across every network in the country. In the end, The View wasn't just a talk show. It became a reckoning. Whoopi, Joy, Sunny, Anna, and even Pete Hegseth held up a mirror. And what stared back was a man unraveling under the weight of his own lies. What began as fact-checking became an unmasking of ego, of illusion, of leadership sold as theater. Trump wasn't just called out, he was cornered by reality. The hugs were history. The loyalty was leaking. The truth, though delayed, had finally arrived. And as Whoopi asked one last question, what does America stand for anymore? The silence from Trump's end said more than any tweet ever could. But here's the twist. This story isn't over. Because if even Pete is walking away, who's next?